Stand by. The program will begin soon. I don't know why I'm talking about this. During World War II, we sent 90 million pounds of spam just to the Russians alone. I mean, we sent it all over the world. Our troops, especially in the Pacific Theater, ate it. That was basically what they ate all the time. 90 million pounds to the Russians. Apparently in like the 50s, Nikita Khrushchev said, you know, if they hadn't sent us all this spam, they might not have been able to feed their troops during World War II. So a little weird canned kind of ham pork product, canned meat, may have won World War II. And the Fed is trending on X. I wasn't sure why, and I'm still not 100% sure why, although part of it is because of this building that they're renovating. They're supposed to be renovating one of the buildings at the Fed, right? And the other day, Donald Trump came out there with Jerome Powell, and they're talking about how the renovation of the building was kind of a little bit over budget, okay? First of all, the numbers on this are crazy. They wanted $2.something billion to renovate a building at the Fed. $2.1 billion. Well, this is $2.5 billion. But they're over budget by over $1 billion for one building. They're over budget over $1 billion for one building. $1 billion friggin' dollars for one building. This isn't even for building a new building. It's for renovating a building. What the actual F are they doing? If after a night of filling your rectum with vodka from a turkey baster, the cops find you changing a flat in the cereal aisle of a Piggly Wiggly and ask how much you've had to drink, and you say nothing, are you lying? Well, no. Now, if they had been asking, have you been injecting? You'd have to say yes, but they said, have you been drinking? Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, Lord Stanhope, absolutely not. In fact, you all can try to answer these questions. Stand by. The program will begin soon. A WNBA game got stopped in the middle of the game because one of the players lost their wig while they're playing, and they had to run off. And then some fan made fun of the player, and they had to run. And they kicked the fan out for making fun of a player losing the weave. Not the weave, it was a wig. Losing their wig. They had to have a timeout for the wig, a wig emergency. Which I'm like, why the F are you wearing a wig while you're playing basketball? But then yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, a game had to be stopped briefly because someone threw a big old green dildo on the floor. Someone threw a dildo out on the floor, out of the court. They had to stop the game. I don't know if they caught the person who sent the dildo, but the green dildo was on the court, and a good large number of the players had no idea what to do with something of that shape, but that's okay. It happened, and then someone made this t-shirt or this meme, pay us what you owe us, which has a dildo on it. So that was... Hey, you know what the really good interrupt violence through community-based bystander training? Yeah, if the bystanders beat the fuck out of someone who's attacking somebody else, that would be great bystander training. They can send them to the MMA gym, you know, put them in an arm bar, smack them in the face a few times. Stop doing that bullshit. That would be the best community-based bystander training. But I don't think that's what he means. Anyway. And then the other one, they'll go back all the way to Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof's the other one, which, does anyone, okay, let me ask you something. A lot of you are right-leaning or on the right. Is there anybody in this that anyone you know of? Is there anyone that you know of on the right who supports or supported Dylan Roof? Because I know everyone I can think of who's like, Dylan Roof, fuck that guy. He went out and murdered people in a church. Fuck that guy. But they claim that the left is like, oh, he was a right-wing extremist. Nah, he's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy. Yeah, fuck Dylan Roof. Nobody gives a shit about Dylan Roof. Nobody claims him. Nobody wants him. He's an asshole. Okay? He's a little punk bitch asshole who killed a bunch of people in a church. Stand by. The program will begin soon. Reverend Robin Bartlett of First Church of Sterling, Massachusetts, uses John 1:14 in the Bible to justify why she brings her 11-year-old son to drag shows. This is what we're getting in the Rainbow Church. The Rainbow Church aren't exactly hiding it. That's true. The Word became flesh and lived among us, and my body, your body, their bodies are home for the living God. That is why I take my 11-year-old boy to drag shows in the summer with my friend and fellow church leaders, Kate, and her 11-year-old boy. Especially if you're a man, bodies can be celebrated and played with. That's her message. What the fuck? California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, him or her, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. Can you see what that might be a problem? This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. She warned these are unintended consequences, and it is terrifying. They are unconscionable, unavoidable. So that's one of the really bad California law that they're going to do. I can't believe. I'm just dumbfounded that they're doing. Now this is interesting. That new mayor candidate, the leading Democratic mayor candidate for New York City mayor, Damme, wants cops to stop responding to attacks on Jews. And by the way, Jews in New York City are victims of the majority of hate crimes. Not a plurality, but the majority of hate crimes against people in New York are against Jewish people. And especially religious hate crimes. Anyway, 345 hate crimes in New York City last year, more than all other minority groups combined, according to New York Police Department data. And Jewish crimes accounted for 54% of the 641 total hate crimes reported to police in the city in 2024. Since the beginning of the year, 60% of the 123 reported hate crimes have targeted Jews, according to the New York Police Department. Well, Zohran Mamdani, the radical Islamist and leftist terror supporter, has proposed that the New York Police Department not respond to hate crimes, instead that they be handled by social workers. Either this shifts resources away from responding to attacks on Jews and moves away from having law enforcement deal with those attacks, and instead has his political leftist allies deal with them by burying them. Every day on my show, if I put something on the screen, or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Well, yeah, I know you're not used to it, but damn it, I'm on time. Sort of. And I got a nasty cough, so it's going to be rough today, but I'm going to do my best to be me, whatever that means. Anyway, how you doing? Happy Monday. It's the Morning Night Live on this December, what is it? The 8th of December, 2025. Monday. Everyone loves Monday. And as you can tell, my voice is a little lower than normal just because if I talk too loud or talk in my normal high-pitched voice, which I don't have, but see, it almost made me cough already. Anyway, hi, how you doing? Happy Monday. Over the weekend, I didn't spend a ton of time paying attention to the news, but every time I did, there was another story about fraud. Sorry. Not just, by the way, I meant to, when the first part came up and I usually say hi and whatever, I forgot what I was going to do, but it's because of this thing in my mouth that reminded me. Ricola. Ricola is my friend today. But if you hear me doing the ASMR thing with my Ricola, just bear with me, okay? Because it just is what it is. But anyway, but as I was saying, yeah, every time I turned on like news or YouTube or something, everything was about fraud. And it was not just in the Twin Cities here, Minneapolis, St. Paul, or Minnesota. It's everywhere. And it's funny how so many of the stories are about a certain community that has made their home in the United States and think they own it now. I saw something so funny. I almost fell off my chair laughing when I saw this one video of this guy talking about how Minnesota is ours now and the United States is ours now. And I was like, dude, you're in one little tiny speck of this immense country. I'm beginning to wonder, see, a lot of people come over to the United States from other countries or other places. I don't think they truly understand how big this country is and how many people there are in this country. You know, just because you have a little tiny, speck of a Somali community, even 80,000 Somalis in Minnesota, that's nothing. I mean, there's 3.2 million people just in the Twin Cities. You're a tiny speck. You think you've taken over the country, and you don't. It's not. The United States is huge. You ever watch those British guys that have been traveling around the United States, and they're just in awe how immense this land is? Like for example, when a Brit talks about driving to another city, for example, and they're like, oh my gosh, we might have to take an hour drive. I drive an hour just to go visit my daughter, I'll drive 4 hours to see a basketball game. It's nothing to me. I used to go to visit my parents in Omaha, and 6-hour drive. I used to do that 4 times a year. It was nothing. This is like, okay, I'm going to go visit my parents. Let's go drive to Omaha. People, you drive 6 hours in Europe, you might cross 4 countries. So when the Somalians are talking about, this one, I mean, the dude was like, well, we own Minneapolis now. Dude, you have a restaurant in fucking, on Lake Street. So what? You don't own Minneapolis. They think because they have one, of course, they do have the one congressperson who, well, I don't know. Anyway, today we're gonna have some fraud stories, but there's all kinds of stuff going on over the weekend. So I'll get to as much as I can. And there you go. So you've been to Minneapolis, they can have it. No, listen. I don't know what part of Minneapolis you went to, AD. Minneapolis is a nice town. Now, there are problems, obviously. There's still the remnants of the Floyd riots in that part. It used to be really great to live here, I'm going to say. And Lake Street, for example, down an area that's known as Uptown. Have you ever heard this Prince song, Uptown? Well, that's a place, and it used to be thriving restaurants and stores and little shopping areas and whatever. It used to be a great place, and now it just sucks, okay? But other parts of the Twin Cities are great. North Loop is an area that used to be just a warehouse district. Now it's thriving. Lots of people hang out there. There's bars and restaurants everywhere. The lakes area, the chain of lakes in the Minneapolis chain of lakes, really cool area. The Smileys don't live there. And there's lots of stuff going on. Minnesota is a great state to live in. We just have a really fucked up government. I'm just telling you, it's uncanny. And I'm hoping finally that this fraud stuff that's going on, that everyone here is getting pissed off about. Even some of the liberal news stations are starting to not give people a pass on this anymore, because they let it happen. That's the name of the show. They let it happen. And because they're out of fear of being, that out of fear of being called racist. And now they're all backtracking and doing all this shit, and it's kind of funny to me. But it's not just here. It's also in Maine. It's also in Massachusetts. It's also in Virginia. And there's it's crazy now that all the fraud stories are popping up, because and it's funny how so many of them are from the same country. So anyway, we have a story on that and all kinds of stuff. Let's get this thing going. Say hi to everybody. First in the chat today is Kara Soldier. Welcome to the show. You get the bell. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette. How you doing? Blue-eyed screams in the house. Louie is here. My other favorite Canadian, Unacceptable Views in the house. Green Badger Outdoors. Somnambul Nation. How you doing? Good morning. Attack Alpaca's here. Advocatus Diabli. And, well, that's weird. That seems to be it. Oh, there's Miss Wild Wolf's in the house. Nice to have you. And, it's kind of, and Skella is here, a.k.a. Midnight, our young friend, the daughter of Miss Wild Wolf, who apparently I'm her professor of history and all things political. So there you go. Lucky you, dear. Lucky you. Okay, so why am I so... Oh, my goodness. There it is again. For some reason, there's too much brightness on here. So let me just fix the old... I didn't realize I looked like... Well, I'm not like a ghost or anything, but I don't know why there's so much light on me. Maybe it's because I'm special. No, I'm not. Just let's just stop that stupid shit right now. Let's just turn the brightness down a little bit. Do a little too much light. There, let's just, there we go. Oh, I feel better. Oh, I was just feeling a little overwhelmed. Okay, shall we start the show? Hello, there you are, Midnight. I see you now. Oh, and there's Tyler F. How you doing, Tyler F? AKA Hurricane Francie, something like that. And okay, so that's everybody. So let's get into some stuff here, okay? How about saying, the people who share the show too, greatly appreciate it. I see the notifications blowing up here. That's a good thing. Wait, come on now. There we go. Now it's working. Of course. Oh my gosh. See, here, I threw y'all off. I know I threw y'all off. I was this close to being on time. I was only 2 minutes late today, starting the show, which is uncanny because I actually got home from UPS at a decent time because we started another hour early, which sucks. I had to get up at 1 a.m, but it's okay. I made it here, took care of a couple things. I had to fix something. I had to change my sexy music. I just realized, so the old sexy music, that I had to change it because that's for my old music service, and I got not a copyright strike, but they take your revenue. You can't monetize it if you use their music. I changed my music service, so now I had to change it to something like there's my new sexy music. How you like that? Oh yeah. Come on, baby. You know what it is. Oh yeah. Okay, so there you go. Hey, good morning. The Pope is here. I should have done that before the Pope. I feel a little dirty doing that in front of the Pope. But anyway, good morning to the Pope. Yes, Pope Tyrannus III, the Blessed Lich, with today's message of hope from not the Father, not the Son, but from the Holy Ghost. Yes, Pope Tyre says, wait, what is that? And wait, I just saw it. Where'd it go? I just scroll. Oh, there it is. Blessing of the Holy Ghost. Do you know the paradox of strength? You are strong if you endure without help when you need it. But it is also asking for help when you need it too. Thus the paradox is born. Thank you, Pope Tyrannus III, of that special message. Also, Ergotanga Group or Egg with Police thing. That's me, Simon. Hi, Simon. How you doing? Nice to have you here. And Cashapp. What up, Kirsten? How you doing? Nice to have you here. All right. Owen Kessler. Oh, my goodness. Welcome. Welcome back. If you didn't get here when I started, I am a little sick, so I'm going to be coughing a lot. I got my Ricola in the cheek and gum. Instead of Skull, I have a Ricola. Anyone remember this? Well, if you know what Skull is, it's that pinched tobacco stuff, you know, the gritty stuff that goes in there. Remember when Earl Campbell was doing the Skull commercials? He had the skull in his lip and just pinch your cheek and go, Skull, brother. That's awesome. Some of you probably have no idea who Earl Campbell is. Anyway, let's thank the people who share the show. Green Badger Outdoors that looks like is that the S71? That's something, huh? And then also, I gotta repost that. Also, Somnambul Nation, thank you for posting the show as you always do. I appreciate that again. And we got a little Tim A. Oh gosh, don't make me laugh. It makes me cough. Let's go, Tim A. That looks like Tim Walls. What the hell is that? Is he in an electric chair? Oh shit! No, he's got a joystick. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Anyway, Simon Wilkins, thank you for giving me a little snow pics. What do you got going here? I am going to be playing Animal Crossing City Folk while listening. Today's photos, nighttime winter in Elm Park. So here's some nice winter pictures from Simon. A little Christmas tree action. By the way, so I live not a real far. Oh, good morning, Jay Blizzard too. What up, JB? How you doing? I live not too far from the Minnesota Vikings practice facility, and it's the TCO, Twin Cities Orthopedic whatever training center. They got this giant complex, right? And now every year they put up this really big like drive-through light show that you can go through. And if you ever come through the Twin Cities or you're from anywhere near here, it's really cool. It's like $40 per car to drive through it, but it's this long thing of just Christmas lights and stuff you can drive through. It's very fun. I highly recommend it. We're going to do it again this year. I'll take some video from it too. But yeah, very cool. I'll have some video footage of that later. Oh, also, just on a personal note, say some prayers for Mama Boomer, not Lady Boomer, but basically my kid's grandma, who's in for surgery as we speak. Not a major surgery, but you know, when you're 84 years old, every surgery is kind of major. So we expect her to be fine, but never hurts to have a few prayers going on. So say a prayer for Mama Boomer. Also, thank you, Avocados Diablo. You are the first sponsor today with a small bullet in the tip jar. And
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of
that.
The day.
And Avocados Diablo says, well, hang on a second. Avocados Diablo says, your new sexy music sounds like I am getting it on a 1979 JCPenney elevator. Whatever it takes to get you going, brother. Whatever it takes. Now, hey, I got a question though. When you say that the new sexy music sounds like I am getting it on in a 1979 JCPenney elevator, it begs the question.
When was the last time you got it on in a 1979 JCPenney elevator? That sounds like you have some experience with that. Just checking. All right. Anyway. All right. Let's. Did I say hi to JB? Yes, I did. Okay. And also, Ms. Wild Wolf, setting the pace here, throwing up the stream. Our daily Ric Flair, yep, from Ty Alexander. Appreciate that. And Miss Wild Wolf doing some retweets and let's go with that little kid that's screaming. Oh, whose face did they put in his face? Is that a different face or is that the same kid? I can't tell. Anyway. Thank you, Cashapp, and who else here? Ms. Wild Wolf and Ty Alexander and Somnable Nation and who's this? This is Tyre and who's this? Oh, Somnable Nation. Yeah, everyone retweeting the stream. Greatly appreciate it. So thanks for sharing the stream, guys. Greatly appreciate it. I actually remember to put it on Discord today. I usually don't. I always forget that for some reason. Oh, thank you, Kara Soldier. Dropping a deuce in the tip jar. We'll clean that up later. Says the plane. The goat. Wait, what? Is this a reference to
the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, an advanced long-range strategic reconnaissance aircraft capable of.
Yes, that's the pick. That's the SR-71. Did I say F-71? SR-71. I always miss that thing. Dog seeing things. What are you talking about? What? Huh? Okay. Anyway, thank you for dropping a deuce in the tip jar. Appreciate it. Let's see what today is. Now I didn't stream yesterday, but it's December 7th obviously is the day that'll live in infamy, Pearl Harbor Day, so I'm just going to mention that today. Now here is what's interesting this year. Sadly, this is the first year at the commemoration ceremony at Pearl Harbor that no Pearl Harbor survivor has attended. We have lost so many over the past few years, and as few as 12 remain living today, from one generation to the next. Remember Pearl Harbor, remember those lost, remember those who survived. When we went to Hawaii a few years ago, we went to the Big Island, not Oahu where Pearl Harbor is, but our flight home was late in the evening, and so we said, okay, we're going to spend the day at Pearl Harbor. If you ever go to Hawaii, it's an awesome place, and I mean awesome as in it leaves you in awe. Highly recommend. You learn so much just walking through there, and they have a lot of. It's very interesting. In fact, we took a little ferry or whatever. They have this little ferry out to the U.S. Arizona, which is the ship that they have the memorial built on top of it, and even after all these years, there is still oil leaking from that ship. It's kind of wild. So, wait, I put it in the wrong area. No, I put it in the general area on purpose today because I was addressing everyone, and so usually if I address everyone, I put it in the general area instead of the show area. So I knew that I did that. I did it on purpose today. All right. Yeah, Pearl Harbor Day was yesterday. And it's interesting. There's a story about this man, too. He led the attack on Pearl Harbor, but died a Christian missionary. On December 7th, 1941, Captain Mitsuo Fuchida flew the lead plane against Pearl Harbor, shouting the famous code, Tora, Tora, Tora. He hated America. But after the war, he met a former American POW, Jacob DeSager, who had returned to Japan not to punish him, but to preach the gospel. Shocked by this forgiveness, Fuchida bought a Bible. He converted to Christianity in 1950. The man who started the Pacific War spent the rest of his life touring the U.S. and Japan preaching. Quote, I was a follower of the sword. Now I'm a follower of the cross. Amazing story. Amazing story. So, and then here's us talking about the USS Arizona. Today is December 7th. That was from yesterday. If you're ever in Oahu, please take the time to go to Pearl Harbor and visit the USS Arizona Memorial. It's one of those things that, in my opinion, every American should see. She still bleeds today. Yes, still leaking oil after all these years. So anyway, there's the tab on Pearl Harbor. Actual holidays. Today that are going on that I didn't really pay any attention to. Today's National Brownie Day, so I guess it's celebrating me, I guess, because they mean the little dessert thing. Never mind. National Brownie Day. Also, now this one's funny, and if you knew about this and you participate, I'd love to see video and pictures of reactions of other people. Pretend to be a time traveler day, which is hilarious. Take a time traveling adventure, explore the past, present, and future on Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day. That's a funny thing. I wonder if I'll run into anybody pretending to be a time traveler today. Also, it's National Blue Collar Day. All us guys and gals who get their hands dirty working dirty jobs, blue collar jobs, it's your day to celebrate. Now, I don't know why they got Hanukkah on here, because Hanukkah this year doesn't start till December 14th. Today is December 8th, so I don't know what the hell that's up here for. National Health Savings Account Day. Okay, National Simon Day. Wait. Now, when I saw this next holiday, I have questions. In fact, I'm going to do this the proper way. It's National Take It in the Ear Day. What the hell does that mean? National Take It in the Ear Day. Stop. No. Now, it says have a blast on Take It in the Ear Day by trying out new and unique ear-related activities. Johnny, who thought of this shit? Ear-related activity, from piercing to listening to your favorite tunes. Who the fuck thought of this one? Also, it's the Feast of the Immaculate Conception Day, and the Virgin of Kakahupi Day. So, there you go. I'm not going to say what I was thinking that came off the top of my head. All right, moving on. Indiana's in the news because, it's not a sports show. I don't talk sports that much, but every once in a while, you have to give it up for some sports shit. And today, I got to give it up for the University of Indiana. The University of Indiana may have the worst history of record in college football of all times ever. And over the weekend, the University of Indiana beat Ohio State to become the Big Ten football champs. They are undefeated and they are number one in the country. What the hell happened to the Big Ten? But it's amazing. And so I just thought I'd mention it. There's a whole bunch of people celebrating the University of Indiana this weekend, today. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It's amazing. I mean, if you know anything about college football, if you know anything about the Big Ten, if you know anything about how bad the University of Indiana has been their entire existence when it comes to college football. They've always been good at basketball, but always sucked at football. And this year they're undefeated, and they are the top seed in the National College Football Playoffs. Shocking. If you know nothing about it, yeah, it's okay. That's it. All right, so there you go. The EU is trending because apparently the EU is fining Elon Musk for stuff that people post on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. And there's a it's kind of funny watching people argue about this on X. Because let's see. Because supposedly the West, the EU, whatever, supposedly there's kind of a free speech thing going on, but they do some crazy shit in the EU, in different countries in the EU. And so here is someone says, so this is someone who's very pro EU, fact, he's the conservative MP in Denmark, which is an oxymoron. Chairman of Denmark's Defense Committee, blah, blah, blah. He's whatever. Says, you can be a sheep and accept Elon Musk's groundless claim that the EU is attacking free speech. Oh, they do, constantly. Or you can try to understand why the EU is fining Twitter. There's no such thing as Twitter anymore. It's not an attack on free speech. So here's what a lot of them are posting. I'll put this up here. The EU Commission identified the following breaches with the fine broken down accordingly. And I mean, the fine is like, look at how much it is. It's about 150 million euros, which is probably, about $160 million. The commission identified the following breaches with the fine broken down accordingly. Deceptive blue checkmark system. X's paid verification badge introduced post-2022 acquisition misleads users about account authenticity as it prioritizes subscribers over meaningful identity checks. This enables scams, impersonation, and manipulation by malicious actors. They're fighting X for that. Okay, whatever. Inadequate advertising repository. That by the way, that first one's 45. It's 45 million euros or $52 million. It's about the same. Inadequate advertising repository. X failed to maintain a searchable, accessible ad library, obscuring details on political ads, scams, and targeted content. This hinders users and researchers from detecting fraud or undue influence. And then restricted data access for researchers. X obstructed independent researchers' access to public platform data, limiting scrutiny of issues like political content, hate speech, or algorithmic biases. Okay. Now, to which someone asks, Grok, how many people have been arrested in European countries for posts or comments written on X? Grok says the exact numbers for arrests specifically tied to X posts in Europe aren't centrally tracked, but estimates from 2023 to 2025 data show in the UK over 12,000 annual arrests for online comments across platforms. Germany, about 3,500. France, 50 to 100. Other EU countries, lower, totaling thousands overall. Many cases involve hate speech or incitement laws. Sources include police reports and media analyses. Now, interesting, isn't the UK no longer in the EU? Or at least Great Britain isn't, right? I can't remember which. I always get UK, Great Britain, and England. I know England's not. The UK is no longer in the EU, but whatever. Which amazes me. 12,000 arrests for online comments in the UK? What the fuck's going on there? What the hell's going on there? So anyway, several of the EU commissioners, whatever, saying, this is why Elon Musk's X platform was fined by the EU. Elon refused to follow the regulations that every other platform has to adhere to in the EU. This is not a free speech issue. Yeah, I don't know. By the way, now, and some people are pointing out, though, that under Elon Musk, Twitter has approved 83% of censorship requests by authoritarian governments. The social network has restricted and withdrawn content critical of ruling parties in Turkey and India, among other countries, including during electoral campaigns. So it's not like they haven't cooperated with some countries with this, but whatever. So anyway, that's interesting. And then Europe is also trending because of that. Now, here's, let's see, is this the one right here? Here, let me click this one. Which a documentary filmmaker where Adrian P. declared EU integration the savior of Western civilization, Pointing to gains in wealth, safety, and freedom, Eastern newcomers like Poland and Romania saw GDP per capita soar since 2004, often quintupling from post-communist lows, while homicide rates dropped continent-wide. Yet critics highlight Italy and Greece's sluggish growth, non-EU standouts like Norway topping wealth charts, and debates over bureaucracy curbing sovereignty. Data shows clear progress for many, but causation remains hotly contested amid economic woes, blah, 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 blah. So some people are touting the EU membership helping those certain countries. But also, apparently, breaking, X today became the #1 news app in every single EU nation. Europe won't go down without a fight, which I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. So, EU's own opinion, user reviews. Oh, that's funny. So anyway, I don't know what that's all about. But then also, just an example of things that happen in the EU where you go, what the hell? Now, this is in a very specific country, but apparently in the Europe, you can refer to Americans as pigs, but not convicted rapists. A German court gives a woman harsher punishment than convicted. I hate it when people say grapist. I'll just say unwanted sexual activity peoples for calling him a disgraceful pig. She called someone convicted of that crime a disgraceful pig and got a harsher punishment than the person who actually committed unwanted sexual activity. And because someone named Helmut Brandustar or something like that. Oh, because J.D. Vance wrote this. Rumors swirling that the EU Commission will fine X hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. The EU should be supporting free speech, not attacking American companies over garbage. Now, to which this guy, this Helmut Brandstätter, who is an EU MP, message to Piggyland. Piggyland? Did he call the United States Piggy? Excuse me. Piggyland? There is no censorship in Europe, and everybody has to follow our rules. Trump fights the free press, suing newspapers and TV stations, so leave us alone. And so that's why people were posting that story about the German court gives woman harsher punishment than convicted unwanted sexual activity person, calling it, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ricola. Calling him a convicted, or for calling him a pig. So anyway, there's other stuff about pigs too, but I'm going to skip it. Moving on. They can't find it for censoring, so they got creative. Exactly. That's exactly what they did. They got creative. All right, moving on. Now, on Friday, Representative Adelita Grobaha, Grijalva, claimed she was pepper sprayed by ICE because she was interfering in an ICE raid. So here's the story that was summarized on X. On December 5th, ICE agents raided sites across southern Arizona, including 2 Taco Hero spots in Tucson, arresting 46 people on immigration suspicions. Grijalva, in a red dress, approached masked agents outside one location and later reported being pushed and sprayed in the face with irritants or pellets. DHS denied she was targeted, stating she stood near those obstructing officers who injured 2 agents. Both sides maintained their account as video spread. Now, so she posted this. If federal agents are brazen enough to fire pellets directly at a member of Congress, well, who knew that she was a member of Congress? No one knows who the fuck you are, lady. Imagine how they behave when encountering defenseless members of our community. It's time for Congress to rein in this rogue agency now. So what they did Apparently that's a pepper ball. They didn't fire at her. But, and then here she posts this. Let's just do what she says here. Let's just play this post here, what she put.
Hi, it's Adelita Grijalva.
Hi, Adelita.
We just came up on a community that was protecting their people.
Protecting their people.
We had...
Hold up. Let's stop there. A community that was protecting their people. So, if ICE agents go after illegal aliens are your people. I'm sorry, maybe undocumented. There's, by the way, when they say immigrants, to refer to illegal aliens, they're deliberately lying to you. An immigrant is a person who immigrates to a country. That's a legal process. And an illegal alien who's someone who comes into the country in an illegal process, not an illegal process. So I get tired of them saying, oh, they're immigrants. No, they're not. They are illegal aliens. That's a classification of a person who comes in. Now, an undocumented person is a cute little, term they come up with. But a documented person could be someone who had a visa expired, that like their documents are not proper. It's not even undocumented. They're just improperly documented, or they've overstayed a visa. And again, those are civil processes, which would go to court. An overstayed visa is not the same as someone who entered the country illegally. Someone who entered the country illegally has committed a crime. It's a misdemeanor, but it's still a crime. It's not a traffic ticket. It's not an unpaid parking ticket. It's a crime under U.S. federal code. So I get tired of them trying to play semantics with, oh, it's an immigrant. Nah, it's not an immigrant. So anyway, hello, Evan S., by the way. So anyway, let's listen to Avelita, whatever the hell her name is.
I would say maybe 40 ICE agents, most of them masked.
And? It doesn't matter.
In several vehicles that the community had stopped right here, right.
So they're obstructing ICE agents
because they're afraid that they were taking.
They're obstructing law enforcement officers in the middle of a law enforcement action. What makes you think that's okay? What makes you think that's okay? You put people in danger doing that. You put yourself in danger. You put the officers in danger. Why would you do that? Makes no sense.
People without due process. Without
how do you know it's not due process? How do you know it's not due process? What is the due process for arresting somebody? Yeah.
Any kind of notice.
Oh, you're supposed to give notice? Wait a minute. You're supposed to give notice? You're supposed to give someone notice that you're going to arrest them?
And so I was here. This is like the restaurant I come to literally once a week.
So?
And was sprayed in the face.
Why? And by the way, she wasn't sprayed in the face. She's lying.
A very aggressive agent, pushed around by others when I literally was.
Nobody knows. How would they even know who you are?
Being aggressive, I was asking for clarification, which is my right as a member of Congress.
Again. How did you identify yourself as a member of Congress? Why should they believe you? No one knows who you are.
So once introduced myself, once I did, I assumed that it would be a little calmer, but there was literally only one person that was trying to speak to me in any kind of civil tone, and everyone else was being rude and disrespectful. And I just can only imagine if they're going to treat me like that, how they're treating everybody else. So they're
probably treating everybody else the same way they treated you. Because you're obstructing them doing their job.
We saw people directly sprayed, members of our press, everybody that was with me, my staff member, myself, 2 staff members we have like remnants of whatever they sprayed on us. Excuse me, it's bothering me. And I think that this is one of the problems, the biggest problem that we have in this community is that we have Trump that has no regard for.
Okay, you can watch the rest on your own. The rest of it's just her blabbing on, bitching about Trump. But you interfered with an action, a police action, a law enforcement action. Now, someone here says, this is another video, says breaking, newly released video proves that Democratic Representative Adelina Grijalva was lying about being pepper sprayed by ICE agents. It wasn't even close. In fact, the video shows her actively obstructing agents from conducting arrests. Representative Grijalva should be arrested for obstruction. To make it worse, it was Grijalva's own cameraman who pushed her away, not ICE. So here's, let's see if this video shows us anything different here. Here it is.
Watch out, watch out. Hey, put it down. Put it down.
Well, interesting. That was her cameraman. Did any ICE agent touch her? I don't see anyone touch her.
You need to get out. You need to get out.
Get out of the way. Stop. You guys need to clear now.
I have not seen anyone touch her yet. Oh, now that's a problem because they covered up where the pepper ball exploded behind her. Okay, but she's saying she was sprayed in the face. She was pushed aside and pepper sprayed. The only person pushing her is this guy. That's her camera guy or whatever, who came there to get video of her doing that shit. Hi, Justine Ellison. Nice to have you back. And thanks for watching when you're not watching the show live. I noticed you've thrown comments on the videos and stuff. I greatly appreciate that. Just letting you know. So anyway, yeah, her complaint. She's saying she was pepper sprayed and pushed. The only person who pushed her was this guy, the guy who's with her. He pushed her back. Not a single ICE agent touched her. At least not as far as we can see in any of these videos. So anyway, there you go. All right, let's move on. Oh, this is interesting. The FDA. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so early. This is amazing being here on time for a change. The FDA considers real world proof for flu vaccines. You know, there was a report out recently. And I'm not knocking people getting the flu vaccine, but apparently in elderly people who get the flu vaccine, and maybe it's this could be because almost every elderly person gets flu vaccine, but more people die who've gotten the flu vaccine than haven't. Now, that may be because almost every elderly person in the country gets a flu vaccine, but an internal FDA memo from Director Vinay Prasad calls the current system an evidence-based catastrophe and pushes for pre-market trials showing vaccines reduce flu illness or severity. Critics like former Commissioner Scott Gottlieb argue annual trials would delay seasonal updates. As antibody data has reliably predicted protection, the proposal emerges amid health policy shifts with flu vaccines for 2025-26 already approved under existing rules. Biotech stocks dip on the news, highlighting industry concerns over access to timely shots. So anyway, here's apparently Big Pharma is panicking over this. Let's see what this guy says. I don't know who this is. We'll see who it is. But he was on Face the Nation with whatever her name is. She's annoying.
This week, we saw a big sell-off in biotech stocks following these reports that the FDA, which you used to run at the first part of the Trump administration, is now going to require one study to clinch approval of vaccines. You were one of the former commissioners who put out this really extraordinary editorial in the New England Journal of Medicine arguing that the FDA and top vaccine regulator, Dr. Vinay Prasad, are changing policies in a way that's going to slow down new and better vaccines. What specifically is the problem you?
Good point, AD. Problem is hard to definitively prove vaccines works. If it does, it would mean you don't get sick, but you also don't get sick sometimes just because you have a good immune system. Oops, I don't know why I did that. There we go. Ding.
see? Because this isn't just Hep B. This is the vaccines of the future, you're saying, just won't be created.
Right. So Vinay Prasad, who is the head of the Biologics Center, also oversees the vaccine division. He also has been appointed the head of biostatistics, the chief medical officer of the agency, and the chief scientific officer. So he occupies a lot of positions. Put out a memo saying that they're going to do away with or move away from what they call immunobridging studies. These are studies that allow you, for well-validated vaccines like the flu vaccine, to be able to...
Again, well-validated is an interesting way to put it. Well-validated. Oh, believe the science. Well, science isn't a thing. Science is a process. Anyway.
Demonstrate each year that the vaccine, the new vaccine that's formulated against a circulating strain, can elicit antibodies that are effective against that particular strain, and that could be the basis of approval, rather than requiring new outcome studies every year to prove that the vaccine actually reduces the incidence of influenza. For established vaccines where we know...
But we don't know if it stops new instances of influenza. We hope it does, and we don't want people dying from the flu. And I still tell, my elderly relatives, hey, still take the flu vaccine. And my wife is required to by her job. I don't know if I've had a flu shot, and it's been a long time. I don't know. Anyway.
Know that antibody production is a good correlate for immunity.
According to Tyre, I am elderly, so I should probably get a flu shot. Anyway.
This has been a long-standing practice. We do it for flu vaccine. We do it in COVID, certainly. We do it for things...
Well, if you do it for COVID, then that's a problem, because the COVID vaccine hasn't worked out so well, now has it?
Like pneumococcal vaccine, the vaccine for pneumococcal disease, where we look at serotypes, circulating bacterial serotypes. This allows us to update vaccines as these viral and bacterial strains change and as the composition of the strains change in time to provide protection for the fall respiratory season. If they move away from this, which is what he said they plan to do, we're just not going to be able to update vaccines each season as we've done historically to accommodate whatever the circulating strain is.
Well, I guess they'll need to figure that one out. But yeah, the big pharma guys are in meltdown. Scott Lee was alarmed that new FDA policy would require annual flu vaccines to prove that the vaccine actually reduces the incidence of influenza. I mean, that sounds weird, doesn't it? That's their concern. That's a bad thing. I don't know. Hello, Special Can Acid on my list of favorite Canadians. All right, so there you go.
This week we saw a big sell-off in biotech stocks.
Shut up, lady. All right. All right, let's get through some other things. Oh, by the way, whenever I was talking about the fraud thing, here's one of these fraud things that we're going to talk about. Apparently, it's not just in Minnesota, okay? And here's a case here in Maine that a lot of people are talking about. Here's the Wall Street Apes account at X. A man from Somalia came to America, started a nonprofit, and opened a multi-million-dollar migrant care services agency, which is fascinating. He got over $5 million per year from the American taxpayers, being given no bid contracts from Maine Governor Janet Mills, and is building a military in Somalia. He has been funneling money back to Somalia to build a military in Somalia. The guy is running a migrant services agency that builds Maine care, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year. Oh no, those illegal immigrants are getting any Medicare. And then he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for a paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that's a real state in Somalia. And to be clear, in Somalia, he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. Elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America. It's whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election. So he needed to buy a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support in order to win the election. This report's on Newsmax. Now, again, it's Newsmax. This might just be right-wing nut job speculating, but it's not just them speculating. There's reports about this in Maine, but here it is.
Let's introduce you to Somali-American Abdullah Ali, who came to the U.S. from Somalia in 2009. You're looking at, obviously, the man on my right who had discovered this story. He became a U.S. citizen, started a nonprofit to help immigrants, started several businesses, including a multi-million-dollar migrant care service agency, and in 2024, he ran for president as he raised money to bankroll a militia in Somalia. Yes.
So he's an immigrant running for president of a state in Somalia. Their states have presidents, apparently.
You heard that right. A U.S. citizen who, according to the Main Wire, gave an interview with Kenyan media in which he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that is a real state in Somalia. He was running for president in Somalia. Of course, he lost the election. We reached out to the Gateway Community
Maybe he didn't have
Services
enough
in Maine,
guns.
which Ali founded, did not hear back, ironically enough. The man who broke this report, editor-in-chief of the Main Wire, Steve Robinson, dude, this is crazy.
You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, the guy's running a migrant.
You could make it up. You actually, if you had a very active imagination, you absolutely could make this up. Just saying, it's, you know, but anyway.
Services agency that bills MaineCare, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year, at the same time that he's...
Stop. Avocado Ciabi says, I can make up even better. Yes, we're very aware of what you can make up. Save it for Friday. Okay, there you go. You know what I mean?
Running for president, and to be clear,
in Somalia,
that he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. You know, elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America. It's, you know, whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election.
But he's
so he
an American
to buy
now?
a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support.
Apparently
in
that
order
means
to
nothing.
win that election, and he lost it. But at the very same time that he was in Jubaland and Kenya trying to become a warlord in southern...
Now, I know this is just a tangent. Doesn't Jubaland sound like it would be a Paul Simon album? You know what I mean? I'm afraid.
Somalia, he was getting no-bid contracts from the administration of Governor Janet Mills, a Democrat who has been in cahoots with Gateway Community Services from the very beginning. So if there's one thing that I would implore your listeners to understand, it's in Minnesota and in Maine.
Also Massachusetts, we'll get to that.
It's not just the Somali diaspora that has come over here and decided to engage in this criminal behavior. It's an industrial complex with the Democratic Party that enables and turns a blind eye to this behavior because they benefit from it through political support. And indeed, Abdullahi Ali's number two, his assistant executive director, is the former mayor of South Portland, Maine, and is currently a state representative from South Portland and a member of the Appropriations Committee, Decca Delac. One of his former employees, Yusuf, is a representative from Portland. Many Gateway Community Services alums have gone on to become involved in politics, and Governor Janet Mills created the Office of New Americans specifically to cater to the new Americans, new Mainers, illegal aliens, and the only employee of that organization is Elkas Ahmed from Sudan, who is a former employee of Gateway Community Services.
Okay, so you get the gist here. It's not just in Minnesota anymore. So anyway, and then again, it's been exposed that a Somali alien created a nonprofit in America to care for migrants and now gets $5 million in taxpayer dollars yearly. So not just in Minnesota, it's a lot of people pointing out that report on the right. Also, recently, ICE arrests criminal non-citizens in Twin Cities operations. They were doing some raids in Minnesota. Operation Metro Surge targeted public safety threats in Minnesota's Twin Cities, including Somali nationals linked to felonies and the Feeding Our Future fraud scandal. Federal officials, including Tom Homan, stressed the focus on criminals who evaded prior removal, assured citizens face no risk. Local reactions varied from protest disrupting agents to calls for community calm amid emptier public spaces. I don't know what that means. But anyway, they arrested this one dude in Rochester. ICE arrests and deportations of Somalis in Minnesota are accelerating, sparking backlash from some Democrats, while real Americans are celebrating. Well, even the Democrats are real Americans. It's just they're sometimes a little misguided. But it says another one here. This is a Caroline Levitt a parody account. ICE is hitting Minnesota hard amid armed raids on Somali-heavy properties. The Somali deportation surge has officially begun. Do you support deporting all illegals and all Somalis and all Muslims? No, come on now. You can't say that. I do not support deporting all Muslims because a lot of those Muslims are American citizens. You can't do that shit. But every single one that had participated in that whole fraud scam of the autism scam, not just the leaders of it. Well, wait. I got to play you something before I say that. Okay, here we go. Minneapolis mayor, the Somalis is trending too. Where's the Jacob Fry one? Oh shoot, what happened? Here it is. I'm gonna move that. I'll move the tab over so it's closer to all the Somali stuff. Mayor Jacob Fry of Minneapolis was on with Al Sharpton. I didn't know Al Sharpton still had a show. I don't even know. Is this on MS Now? He still has a show on MS Now. It's amazing. Let's just watch this because I'm gonna make a couple points because they're talking about the fraud stuff going on in Minnesota, Minneapolis and shit. And I will just do a little reaction to this right now. It's only 2 minutes long, so we'll go. Here we go.
I wanted to give you a take on the fraud case that has created political...
First of all, Reverend Al saying the fraud case. There are multiple fraud cases, Reverend Al. Like you act like the fraud, like one, you mean the Feeding Our Futures that had 52 convictions already? Anyway, it's not, there's multiple fraud cases in Minnesota right now. But anyway, just wanted to clarify that.
Shockwaves in your state. Federal prosecutors have charged dozens of people in connection with an alleged scheme to steal money from a food charity for children.
An alleged scheme? You mean that the one that already has 52 convictions? Reverend Al? Alleged scheme? No, it's definitely a scheme. People are already going to jail for it. Just saying.
Children. According to the New York Times, some of them are linked to the Democratic Party and others are members of the Somali community.
Linked is an interesting term. And some of them are from the Somali community. Of those 77 that were indicted, I think only 3 were not from the Somali community. Just giving you a little background here.
Administration is seizing on the controversy to question the credibility of prominent lawmakers in the state, including Governor Tim Walz.
Yep. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I still haven't watched that movie. But anyway, and it's because the Department of Education, they did alert the state to the fraud, and a judge said keep giving them the money anyway. Because you might be called. That's racist. That's all they had to do. Scream, that's racist. And the judge said, no, we're going to keep giving them money, even though they had all kinds of evidence of the fraud and whatnot. But anyway.
The reaction to what's been coming out.
The fraud that occurred is real. At this point,
yes,
it's not
it is.
Just alleged. People have indeed been convicted. They were stealing money from kids that was supposed to go to food that would feed them.
No. That's not correct. They were not stealing money from kids for food that was feed them. That's not what happened. What happened was they claimed to feed tens of thousands of meals that never happened. So no, they stole the money from you, the taxpayer. They didn't steal it from kids because some kids were still actually being fed in other places where they were using this money. But not in this case. That's a lie. Or he's trying to soft pedal it. You know what I mean?
People were stealing money that should have gone towards housing stabilization.
Again. The money was going to keep flowing anyway. The federal government was reimbursing you for it. See, it didn't matter They would have kept giving you money if there was actual need. But they lied. There wasn't. They cooked the books.
And when that happens, you prosecute, you charge, you hold the person accountable, and yeah, they go to jail as individuals.
Now, here he's making an argument. Only the people who were involved, that have been tried, involved, or should be jailed, or should be blamed, right? Let me come back to that.
They go to jail as individuals because you should rise based on your own merit. You should fall based on your own flaws. The entire community of Somalis or any other community should not be held accountable.
Except the people being charged for fraud in the autism study or autism thing. Okay, so they set up these fake autism centers, and they were billing the government for this autism service that they could get being reimbursed for. But all of the fake patients, the parents who were getting paid by the doctors, the doctors, the autism centers, they were also committing fraud. They were getting a kickback from the fraud. So it's not like it's just, oh, there's 7 guys who were running these fake autism centers. Everybody who took money from the guys running the fake autism centers were also committing fraud. And there were hundreds and hundreds of those. So kind of playing, oh, you can't blame the whole community. Well, the community actively participated in the fraud. And some of them were having bidding wars on the different fake autism centers. As they're saying, well, if you're only going to give us $300, we can get $500 from this other fake autism center. They were in bidding wars over who could get pay them more. Hello, Selected Boy, by the way. Yeah. The hell? Yeah, boy. So, it's funny. He wants to downplay it because Jacob Fry is really tight with the Somali community. He wants to downplay it. There seems to be a systemic problem. I love that word now. There seems to be a systemic problem. By the way, oh my gosh, I have a video for you guys to watch after I'm done here. And I highly, highly recommend it because it explains a lot how some of this fraud works as far as the people just getting services, especially in the state of Massachusetts, where it's really bad. It's probably about the same here, but it's really bad in Massachusetts. I'll tell you that at the end.
You know, Reverend, I'm Jewish, but when Bernie Madoff got in big trouble for financial crimes, a Jew himself, nobody held me accountable for that.
Bitch, please. Are you saying that the one person who committed a crime was not, condemning all Jewish people? It would be now if there were 1,100 Bernie Madoffs, maybe your analogy would be complete. It's not there, Jacob. He's going to keep going. Watch.
Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, Polish, but nobody held all the Polish people in the United States accountable for what he did. And
if there were 1,000 Ted Kaczynskis and they were all Polish immigrants, there might be some profiling issues you'd have to address. But there was one Ted Kaczynski. You moron. Holy shit.
So in America...
Yeah, it was Madoff. I didn't know Madoff was Jewish. I didn't know that either. I just know he's an asshole. But anyway.
Again, you have the freedom of choice. You make decisions. When those decisions are against the law, you get held accountable as an individual. The whole community, however, does not.
Now, look, I generally don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying there. But when the entire community actively participates in it, or not the entire community, but a large number of the community participated in it. Clearly, it's a systemic problem with that community. Just saying. All right, next. Let's see. Oh, Somalis is trending. Oh, I haven't seen this one. This is 4 minutes long. I'm not playing it. I'm gonna put it as a separate link because this is another video you can watch. It'll be in the links today. But there's this this black woman who grew up in a Muslim home, and she wore a hijab when she was growing up, and went to the mosque. Goes to town criticizing Somalians, Ilhan Omar, refugees, and Sharia law. It's a longer video, and everything she says is on point. She makes it quite clear that Somalia is a dangerous place, and it's appropriate to suspect people who come from there as being dangerous people. Well, they keep sending money back to Somalia, so. But there's another video I wanted to show. Oh wait, is it here? Is it here? It might be down here. I'll just make a separate video. You got to watch this one too. But it's 4 minutes long. I don't really want to spend the time on it right now. But this is the one that I was talking about. This is a dude who it's a 92-second clip that surfaced on TikTok around December 6th. The man with an accented English calls Trump's partial awareness of Somali success a milestone, using his tweet as a measure of progress. He insists we came here and we're not leaving, challenging claims to the land. The remark comes amid tensions in the Minnesota Somali community of 80,000, where Trump recently labeled some garbage and vowed deportations of criminals while leaders highlight their business and civic roles. Well, there's a good video on how they got so wealthy, but here's this here's this douchebag.
My biggest fear in life is that this man may never witness our full takeover. Yes, he may never witness that.
He said, my biggest fear in life is that this man will never witness our full takeover. Now, again, I laugh at this because there's about 80,000 Somalis in Minnesota, kind of spread out over a couple cities. There's a few out in the East Coast. I don't think this moron realizes, first of all, how big the United States is. And second of all, how many people who, if they think they're going to conquer the United States, there's plenty of people just itching to get back in the game, if you know what I mean. So I'm not, whatever. Let's listen to this asshole.
Already witnessed our partial takeover, our little success.
Partial takeover of America. Oh,
and
really?
He is the reason, actually, I know that the community in America is thriving. He is how I know.
Off of free shit.
He's how we measure our progress.
How?
If he doesn't tweet, somebody messed up. I know it. Somebody fucked up the plan. If he tweet, I know. I know. We're doing the right things. Yes. That's how I know. So, he's old and sick, I know. He may not witness our full takeover, but I promise you that his sons will witness. Just like him, we came to exist in this country. See? The land of free men. The land of opportunities. And we're here. Yes. And we're not leaving, actually. We're not going back. What do you mean go back? You should go back first. You see? If you come first, you go first. See? Just like you. Tell me how you own this land. Explain to the world how this land became your land. Tell the world.
So anyway, this is not the only one video like that, but there's even better ones than his. But yeah, he's expecting a full Somali takeover of the United States in Donald Trump's son's lifetime. I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not going to bet on it. Let's see what's next here. Oh, this one's from Reaction of Puerto Rico again, and this is I guess I get a lot of immigrant news today. Reaction of Puerto Rico sent me this over the weekend too. 4 indicted alleging child labor by contractor at a plant. The ICE reviewed Fayette's I-9 employment forms and found overwhelming use of fraud ID documents for their employment, with 339 of 353 employees working under suspected documents. So it comes up with this article. In Accomack County, Virginia, an unsealed grand jury indictment alleges that multiple people harbored and employed undocumented immigrants, including children, while working for a poultry processing plant contractor in Accomack County for over a more than 3-year period. The indictment, which covers the period between October 2020 and January 2024, was filed November 5th, but was unsealed later in the month and lists 4 defendants formerly employed with Tennessee-based Fayette Industrial Services, which had previously contracted as a third-party janitorial service at Purdue Farms in Accomack County and other slaughter and meat packing facilities. It was accused of hiring children as young as 13 in those facilities and exploiting them by having them on the overnight shift at the Accomack County locations and other places, and allowing them to work in unsafe labor conditions. The indictment also alleges that 4 people charged in the indictment has been purchasing, and using fraudulent identification documents, including Social Security cards and driver's licenses, so those who were illegally could be entered into the I-9 system without detection by government authorities. So part of the problem here is we have companies who are exploiting this labor, and you'd think that the liberals would be really mad about that, but they seem to be just okay with it. You know, they really do. In 2024, Fayette was ordered to pay $649,000 in penalties, was ordered to hire outside consultant to prevent child labor employment in sanitation contracts, and establish a program to report concerns about the illegal employment of children. The U.S. Labor Department, following an investigation by its Wage and Hour Division, found that Fayette Janitorial Services, LLC, operated as Fayette Industrial, employed at least 24 children, some as young as 13, on overnight sanitation shifts at 2 separate slaughtering and meat packing plants, one in Sioux City, Iowa, and at Purdue Farms in Accomack. As part of the investigation, federal investigators found that at least 1 child had suffered severe injuries at the Purdue Farms plant as a child had tried to remove debris from dangerous machinery. That's a no-no. Never touch dangerous machinery. There should be lockout procedures. We talk about this shit all the time at UPS. According to the indictment, he suffered a severe injury to his arm while cleaning out one of the poultry processing machines and was pulled into the machine after his clothing caught on after clothing caught on his belt. Oh, shit. The indictment notes that his Form I-9 on a file falsely showed him to be an adult with a false name and legal status, and at the time of his injury, he was 14 years old. Holy shit, that's fucked up. So anyway, they've got the suit here. I don't need to read anymore, but this is what we're protecting. This is what they're protecting. It's really scary. Thank you, Avocado Stallion. Another small bowl in the tip jar. Appreciate it. AD says, okay, I am quoting here, the fucking Somalians cannot even conquer Somalia, and no one is even competing with them for that a shithole. Yes, that is quite correct. It's funny because a lot of times when you hear criticism of Somalia, inevitably you're going to hear some Somalians tell you how they're a beautiful country and they're beautiful beaches and this and that. And it's like, wait a minute. If your country is so great, why the fuck are you here? It didn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Oh, and here's another. I said I had a lot of immigrant stories. Here, this one, Texas DPS pulled this truck over. The driver had no license and had 23 illegals hiding inside a sleeper compartment. Do you know how big a sleeper compartment of a truck is? It's about, depending on the truck, some are like the size of maybe a queen size bed. That's about it. Or, So anyway, this dude, minimum for human smuggling in Texas is 10 years. Actually, it's 2 to 10 years. But if the feds get involved, then it goes up to 30 years. Feds are getting involved. Trump ain't playing. So here's the, I don't know if they're going to, this says anything. So they're pulling him over.
Right now. Right now I'm going to San Antonio. You're going to go pick something up? Yeah. Like a load? Yeah. You're a truck driver, like for what company? It's a private company. Private one?
No, he has no license.
You like a load? Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Do you have a CDL? I do, but like I said, I don't have a picture of it on here. Not right now. Okay. Right now you're alone. You're alone right now, right? Yeah, I'm alone. Okay. Could I see what you have in the vehicle? Do you give me permission? Is it required? It's not required. You don't have to let me. Okay. I mean, you have to. There's no reason you should be searching the vehicle.
Oh shoot! I don't have them full screen. Sorry, guys.
But if you're gonna deny it, then that's fine. But I'm gonna stand by here just for some other units to get here, and I'm gonna run a dog around the vehicle. I just think sorry. I mean, I'll get to that right now once they get here. I guess I would just wait for the other units. For other units? That's fine. I don't want you to feel like you have to do it. That's why I'm asking you for your consent. But
well, once the dog indicates, then he will. Hi, Zach Osborne.
Okay. I understand that.
How do you fit 23 people in a sleeper of a truck?
But in terms
well,
of
think of, okay.
You don't have a CDL and you're operating a motor vehicle.
That's a good question.
A commercial motor vehicle.
Think about.
Okay, and who are you calling right now?
Hang on a second.
I'm just curious. I'm calling my lawyer. Your lawyer? Yeah. All right. Can you just keep an eye on him? We're gonna detain you real quick, okay? If we don't find anything in the vehicle, we're gonna release you. Right now, we're gonna conduct a probable cause search on the vehicle right now, okay?
I think it's. Oh, here we go. Watch.
I can't reach. Open it.
Here's how you fit 23 people in a sleeper.
No se muevan. No se muevan. No se muevan. No se muevan. Nadie. Están rodeados. Get more out.
They're packed into a space about the size of a king-size bed.
Okay.
Look at this. Unbelievable.
Ahorita vamos a sacar.
What up, Cannibalistic Wizard? How you doing? So there. That's fucking fantastic, isn't it? All right. Now, the last couple things I'm going to do today. Oh my God, I still have 10 minutes. It's unbelievable. It's so weird being on time. So anyway, about that ICE raid in Minnesota, the Trump administration immigration enforcement actions in Minnesota this week saw an estimated 500 Somali nationals with standing deportation orders arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Among those detained by ICE agents were a number of Somali gang members and one Somali convicted of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. Around 100 ICE agents deployed to the states by President Donald Trump took part in the immigration enforcement operation. Notable apprehensions include Abdullah Dikar Sharif Abdi, a former member of the Gangster Disciples, that's a prominent gang in the Twin Cities, and a current member of the Vice Lord Nation gang. Criminal illegal immigrant from Somalia, Abdi has prior convictions for fraud, receiving stolen property, vehicle theft, and multiple probation violations, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Another Somali arrested by ICE was Sahal Azman Shireen, convicted of criminal sexual conduct involving a minor aged 13 to 15. The enforcement operation also saw Rudy Arendando Harilo, an illegal immigrant from Mexico, previously convicted on felony human smuggling charges, taken into custody. Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Trish McLaughlin criticized Minnesota's sanctuary policy, stating, sanctuary policies and politicians like Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Fry allowed these pedophiles, domestic terrorists, and gang members to roam the streets and terrorize Americans. She further emphasized ICE law enforcement are risking their lives to protect Minnesotans while their own elected officials sit by and do nothing. No matter where and when, ICE will find, arrest, and deport all criminal illegal aliens. So that's a little more details on that. Oh, by the way, Supreme Court's going to be deciding the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. That's interesting. For the longest time, we've basically said if you're born on U.S. soil, no matter how you got here, how your parents got here, you're a U.S. citizen, and they're going to be looking at that. The Supreme Court has set to rule on President Donald Trump's initiative to end automatic birthright citizens for children born on U.S. soil, a move that has sparked significant debate and legal challenges. The justices announced their decision to take up the case with arguments anticipated in April and ruling expected by the end of June. So, and then there's a quote here, the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment was adopted to grant citizenship to slaves and their children, not to the children of illegal aliens, birth, tourists, and temporary visitors, Solicitor General John D. Sauer wrote in a court filing on behalf of the Trump administration. He added, yet long after the clause adoption, the mistaken view that birth on U.S. territory confers citizenship to anyone subject to the regulatory reach of the U.S. law became pervasive and destructive consequences. So they're going to look at that. It's an interesting thought. Now, for example, part of it is that are people who come into our country illegally, are they subject to the jurisdiction of the United States government, other than being deported? Now, people who come here on visas or whatever, I have at least a little more respect for those, because it has been the law that if one of your parents are not a U.S. citizen, then a baby born is not a U.S. citizen. Well, I know they're called anchor babies, but I know they're called that. But in particular, illegal aliens, people crossing our border illegally, and then like drop a kid. I'm not sure why that would be a U.S. citizen, even under that clause in the Constitution, because they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They're here. They came through illegally. Now, someone comes here illegally, like someone who comes here from Nigeria or France or whatever, they want their kid to be an American citizen, and they come here with a visa, and the United States probably knows they're pregnant or whatever, and they come over here and have a child. Well, they're under the jurisdiction of the U.S. because they're following U.S. laws to be here. I don't get it about the legal part. So anyway, or the illegals part. So it's always been a question. Why would that be the case? Now, there's an article at Front Page that kind of explains why it may not, the Trump administration may be right about this. The senator responsible for, quote, birthright citizenship said that it never applied to aliens. This would not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners or aliens. That's the person who wrote the 14th Amendment. And so this article argues the 14th Amendment was never meant to legalize the birth of illegal aliens in this country. It was a very sloppily written effort to provide legal equality to freed slaves, even as the language left behind the dangerous loophole that became birthright citizenship. We know exactly what Section 1 of the 14th was aimed at. Quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. It was meant to protect the civil rights of freed slaves. It did not mean that anyone who happened to give birth in this country automatically made their kid a citizen. So, and it's basically all about the Dred Scott case. Here's a quote. A free Negro of the African race whose ancestors were brought to this country and sold as slaves is not a citizen within the meaning of the Constitution of the United States. That's from the Dred Scott case. When the Constitution was adopted, they were not regarded in any of the states as members of the community which constituted the state and were not numbered among its people or citizens. Consequently, the special rights and immunities guaranteed to citizens did not apply to them. And not being citizens within the meaning of the Constitution, they are not entitled to sue that in that character in a court in the United States. And the circuit court has not jurisdiction in such a suit. So that was from the Dred Scott case that said slaves were not citizens. So birthright citizenship then took this ruling meant to assert the rights of black slaves who were born here to argue that a Chinese tourist baby has an American citizenship, even though, again, the purpose of Section 1 is crystal clear. We once again know the original intent. Birthright Citizen Section 1 was proposed by Senator Jacob Howard of Michigan, who stated that, quote, every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of person. So he specifically stated that when they were writing that aliens, not meaning like E.T., who gave birth here, they're foreigners, so they're not U.S. citizens. So anyway, no ambiguity there. Birthright citizenship was later created with the United States versus Wong Kim Ark, which insisted that citizenship came from the place of birth, regardless of the legal status of the parents. And so this editorial says it's now time to undo that. So interesting argument. All right, now a couple things I want to highlight real quick before I have a few more articles about immigration in the links today. Oh, I did want to show you this one though. This is kind of funny. So apparently there's this Harvard law professor who fired a BB gun outside of a synagogue, and apparently he's going to leave the United States now after he was arrested by ICE. In October, visiting Harvard law professor Carlos Portugal Gouveia of Brazil fired a pellet gun outside of a synagogue in Brookline, Massachusetts. It was a day before the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur. Gouveia claimed that he'd been hunting rats, but he was arrested on a handful of charges. At the beginning of this month, ICE got involved, and now Gouveia has agreed to leave the United States. And there's a whole story from Fox News here. So basically, this professor made some dumb choices. Yeah, I'm just curious why he was firing. He was hunting rats outside of a synagogue. That's not terrible, as Chuck Barkley would say. All right, a couple of things that I wanted to. There's a couple of great articles here. Here's the. Oh wait, I forgot about this. I'm just going to take a little extra time here. The dude that the pipe bomber suspect. Remember we were laughing when last week when they got him, right? They got him. And Jake Tapper said he was a white guy. Remember that? This guy was a white guy, according to Jake Tapper, white male. Why he even put that? Why he even added that to the story? Who knows? Because nobody wrote that. He added that. Well, apparently now a lot of the media is trying to make him out to be a right-wing Trump supporter. But it's all from sources, unnamed sources. So nearly 5 years after pipe bombs were discovered outside the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C., a suspect has been arrested in the case. On Thursday, federal agents arrested Brian Cole Jr., 30 of Woodbridge, Virginia, and he was charged with transportation of explosive devices, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's how the media, this is all preliminary stuff. We talked about this last week, so I'm not talking about that. But on Friday, legacy media outlets began reporting that Cole, this young black man right here, was a Trump supporter. And I'm not saying he's not because he's black. I'm just saying there's other evidence that might support the fact that he's not a Trump supporter. But we'll get to that. The media, though, is saying that he was a Trump supporter who believed the 2020 presidential election was stolen. This narrative was driven by comments from, quote, of course, anonymous sources familiar with the investigation. Everybody's favorite sources. NPR reported that Cole told investigators he believed conspiracy theories that the 2020 election was stolen from then President Trump. The Department of Justice said Cole spoke to law enforcement for more than 4 hours on Thursday. This is what NPR reported. In a custodial review, he expressed views supportive of Trump and said he believed the 2020 conspiracy theories, according to the person familiar with the investigation. That's the most devastating source. A person unnamed familiar with the investigation. That's the best source you could have. Who wasn't authorized to speak publicly. Now, this piece goes on to insinuate that the suspect may have planted the devices to distract law enforcement as rioters moved to breach the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Quote, the discovery of bombs occurred in a critical moment in 2021. The first was discovered just before the initial breach of rioters at the Peace Circle near the Capitol, and then the second was found as Proud Boys helped flood the Capitol's west front and the fighting was intensified. Now that's a complete bullshit, made up fact from NPR, as if the Proud Boys were prominent in that group in January 6th. Now, the story, listen to this, where they got that from, though. The story quotes a passage from a book written by former U.S. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. Quote, I believe the timing and placement of those devices were deliberate diversionary tactics intended to divert significant resources away from securing the Capitol, which they succeeded in doing. Now, that's pretty funny that the source of that part of the report is not from anything that has to do with the investigation. NPR wasn't the outlier here. Nearly every major legacy outlet pushed some variation of the same narrative. Now, but guess what? I'm pretty sure that they all got their information on this from the NPR story, because they all do this little, well, there's a source now. NPR reported this, so they can say NPR reported, and they can all repeat the same bullshit. During a Friday CBS News report of the story, producer Anna Sector said, quote, we learned from our sources that Cole, is believed to be a Trump supporter. Oh, because you read it from the NPR story, you lying bitch. And so lots of questions. A headline at MS Now, formerly MSNBC, declared, quote, pipe bomb suspect confesses and has expressed support for Trump. I'm just doing the Keith Olbermann voice because, you know. And then later, breaking. Pipe bomb suspect confessed to planting bombs, indicated support for Trump. Sources say. You mean the sources who read the article at NPR and decided to write the same bullshit? Clearly, now this is the writer here of the story. Clearly, I have no insight into Cole's actual political views, but the emerging narrative is starting to resemble the Democrats' Hegseth hoax, in which anonymous sources claimed War Secretary Pete Hegseth had ordered survivors of the September 2nd drug boat raid to be killed, a claim that quickly fell apart when the truth was revealed. In fact, a Thursday evening report from the Daily Wire suggests the opposite may be true. Quote, Brian Cole worked for a bail bonds company run by his father that worked to free illegal immigrants from ICE facilities and sued the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security. He worked for his dad. They tried to free illegal immigrants. Interesting. Weeks before, 30-year-old Cole Jr. allegedly planted pipe bombs at the headquarters of the Democratic and Republican parties on January 5th, 2021. A court ruled against the company in its lawsuit attacking the Trump administration on immigration issues. Daily Wire's learned an FBI affidavit in the case notes that the suspect works for a bail bond company and lives with his mother. Later in 2021, the company held a press conference bemoaning anti-black racism. With a left-wing attorney, Cole Sr., and Benjamin Crump. Yes, I know every Trump supporter, every black Trump supporter would be quick to hire Benjamin Crump, who represented the family of Trayvon Martin, attempting to sic the Biden administration Department of Justice on a local Tennessee prosecutor who had raised concerns about the bail bond companies. So, Crump also, we know Crump represented George. Crump represents all high-profile black grievance cases because he's just good at getting that business. So anyway, so now they tried to run that narrative. We'll find out eventually that this guy had wanted nothing to do with Donald Trump. All right. Last thing I'm going to show you here is, and I can't play it because it takes too long. I got a couple of articles on climate change too, because this is weird that this year we're not getting all the hurricanes. You know, there's supposed to be thousands and this hurricane there and hurricane there. We're not getting them. We're not getting all the hurricanes we're supposed to get because of climate change. But that's science, and you know the science is settled, and we just shouldn't talk about that. But I want to, after I get done with this story or this show, I want you to watch a YouTube video after this show. It's about, how long is it? It's you don't have to watch. You can watch as much as you want. It's 47 minutes long, but it's worth the watch. This dude, Nate Friedman, he's been doing a lot of investigative reporting regarding immigrant shelters and kind of the fraud that goes on with the whole immigration system. And particularly, this one is about what's happening in the state of Massachusetts, where let's just say the people profiting off the immigration lack of a system or illegal immigration are making shit tons of money. And also the people who are immigrants also make shit tons of money. They're all driving new cars because they get everything else for free. So why not just buy some new, nice vehicles? It's a great report. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you follow Nate Friedman and watch his reports because they're phenomenal investigative journalism. And it's kind of like who's the dude? James O'Keefe. Like when James O'Keefe started out and he was getting these kind of scoops. Well, this guy's doing it too, and he's doing it almost specifically on illegal immigration. So it's in the links today. And like I said, I highly recommend you watch it. I also have The Aggregator. There's a bunch of great stories in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And so there you go. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful Monday. My plan is to do my other thing and then maybe come back here and make some videos for my other channels. And then I'll be back tomorrow. But let me drop these links after I get rid of this. Get that out of there. That doesn't belong in there. And that doesn't belong in there. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Save. And there we go. All right. So here's the links for the show today. I'll just put links there. Boom. That work? No, it did not. Here we go. Let's try that. There they are. They're kind of after Renee there. So everyone have a great day. I got to go. Have it. You know what? Do something kind. If you see a veteran or something, thank them. That's what you do. Thank it. If you see an old veteran today, thank them. That's it. Gotta go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Get funky now.
Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.